2 months after it let the Violence Against Women Act lapse, the House today overwhelmingly voted to renew the law. The act funds domestic violence shelters, extends protections to Native American women and to partners in LGBTQ relationships, and more. But getting the bill passed was a fight, as Junious reports live from our Washington bureau.
The final vote of 263 to 158 was a partisan one. Only one Democrat had voted no. But while everyone agrees on the goal of the bill, Republicans accuse House Democrats of dressing the bill up like a Christmas tree, with liberal amendments that are sure to doom the measure in the Senate. For Democrats like Phoenix Congressman Greg Stanton, today's vote was a victory and, more importantly, badly needed to protect victims.
Today was an important vote. As you know, in Arizona, sadly, we're one of the top 10 states in the country for death by domestic violence.
That tragedy is even worse in Native American communities. A National Institute of Justice research report said 84% of Indigenous women experience violence, 56% is sexual, and it is said 90% of assaults are committed by non-tribal members. Juana Majo Dixon, Secretary of National Congress of American Indians, said it's nearly impossible for tribes to prosecute non-tribal members, but VAWA would change that.
The laws that we had, unless the tribe had an agreement with the person who was non-native that married into your society to be governed by the laws, there were no laws that protected us. And our tribal police, our tribal, anyone who had any authority to address that on the tribal lands could only go so far, because they would rely on their constitutional rights to protect them, and the laws couldn't break through that.
Congresswoman Debbie Lesko, a survivor of domestic abuse herself, said prosecutions like that are important, but she said that Democrats added too many elements that are not needed to protect women and children.
We all want to protect women and children, and VAWA has typically received wide-ranging bipartisan support. However, this legislation fails to do that. We should be focusing on common sense, bipartisan reforms to VAWA instead of on a bill that is a non-starter in the U.S. Senate and a bill that will not be signed by the President.
Lesko pointed to provisions that she said would violate the Second Amendment of confiscating guns or require transgender victims to be housed in shelters with vulnerable women. Stanton says he does not understand the opposition. What's important, he says, is the bottom line support for women who have been victims.
There are so many victims, particularly in Arizona. I don't know why they voted against it. Whatever reason it may have been, you're overthinking it. Supporting victims is the right thing to do.
33 House Republicans crossed the aisle to vote for the bill today. Despite the margin of victory in the Democrat-controlled House, however, the bill still has to go to the Republican-controlled Senate, where its future is less certain. In Washington, Junious, Cronkite News.
Former Arizona Congresswoman Gabby Giffords tweeting, quote, "Today marks a victory for domestic violence survivors. The House just passed the Violence Against Women Act with new provisions to close the boyfriend loophole and stop abusers and stalkers from accessing guns. The Senate must follow suit."